47th ASEAN Summit draws to a close on a deal-making high with an expanded free trade agreement inked with China. Outgoing Chair Malaysia stressing that the bloc's achievements go far beyond just the signing of documents. Malaysia handing over the baton to the Philippines as it marked the end of the 47th ASEAN Summit, with Manila set to assume the chairmanship on the 1st of January next year. Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim officially passing the role to Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. during a ceremony in Kuala Lumpur. As the next chair, the Philippines will be host to a number of the bloc's meetings and will be in charge of steering regional talks. And for more, we're joined by AP correspondent Maria Ronson. She's speaking to us live from Metro Manila. Maria, what have been the top priorities of President Marcos at this year's ASEAN Summit that we know of, and how might these reflect Manila's priorities?
The priorities that the Philippines had set up for 2025 almost mirrors their goals for 2026. So the buzzword here is continuity. For 2026, the Philippines hopes to do the following: strengthen security in the region and also enhance economic cooperation among member countries, broaden engagement with dialogue partners such as the US, China, Japan, and India, to name a few, and focus on regional concerns such as the problems in Myanmar and the Thai-Cambodia border, and determine economic uncertainties. But the primary goal is to conclude an effective and legally binding Code of Conduct, otherwise known as COC, with China on the South China Sea, which has been on the negotiating table for more than 2 decades. As has been widely reported, China has not accepted the 2016 arbitral findings, which has been seen by many as a triumph for the Philippines, as it invalidated China's historic claims on the South China Sea. So expect the road to final signing of the COC on the South China Sea to be turbulent, to say the least. Apart from getting China on board, all 11 ASEAN members have to be backing this agreement. An easier path to navigate would be the economic goals within the region. One project being considered is an ASEAN power grid, the region's power grid initiative, integrating the region's power needs. This project seems to tick all the right boxes for what President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has asserted will be his focus on hosting ASEAN in 2026, to be practical, inclusive, and aim for measurable initiatives.
All right, Maria, you've actually outlined the sorts of where it might be easier for ASEAN and where it might not be so easy for the Philippine chairmanship next year. But what would you say are the obstacles, the major ones, beyond what you have already pointed out?
The developments in South China Sea is the most important, of course, because apart from these disputed waters being a rich source of natural resources and fish, for the livelihood of fishermen in this seas, it is an important trade route. And the fact that it should be opened at all times and accessible to everyone is paramount. The second is the situation in Myanmar. The third is the threats to regional peace and maritime security, and the far-reaching impact of climate change and economic volatility. And one other challenge is to achieve one of their goals around the concept of ASEAN centrality. That is, for ASEAN to be the main platform for dialogue in the region, and that means regional issues are addressed within rather than being dominated by outside major powers. With the US and China flexing their muscle in the region through trade tariffs, economic might, and skirmishes in the South China Sea, setting ASEAN centrality as a goal when the Philippines takes over the ASEAN in 2026 will be something worth watching.
Thanks to AP correspondent Maria Ronson joining us live there from Metro Manila. And more on what we can expect from the